The start of Joe Taylor's day as a trapper was often before sunrise. The split rail fence and stone row. Stone rows often were made by clearing stones from fields for farming. The stones were thrown on the property line or field boundaries. Split rail fences were also often used during colonial times. They're easy to construct because they need no fasteners, nails, or holes, but are easily knocked down by large animals. Like the one in front of the office, post and rail fences are commonly seen everywhere. They are longer lasting than split rail fences and harder to knock down. They still use no nails, but they require posts buried in the ground. Here you see a white-tailed doe in winter coat. White-tailed deer are primarily browsers rather than grazers. Although they do eat grass, they also gain nourishment from twigs and bark. A deer can strip the bark off trees in a hard winter to survive. When fawn are born, the doe will eat the placenta, clean them, and then move the fawn away from the birth site. Baby fawn spots and brown fur provide excellent camouflage, allowing them to blend in with the forest floor, speckled with sunlight filtering through the trees. When you see a fawn laying in the woods, leave it alone. Left tucked in the woods, young fawn are with their mothers only during feeding time. Since they have no scent and are well camouflaged, a predator can pass them without notice. Mom keeps away so she doesn't attract predators with her scent and spends most of her time feeding in order to produce enough milk. A buck's antlers are grown and shed every year. While the does are in the delicate stage of pregnancy, and when the fawn are born and very young, the buck cannot harm the doe or fawn with its antlers because they are growing and very tender and covered in a layer of fuzzy skin called velvet. As the fawn gets older and the end of summer approaches, the buck's antlers become hard and solid. The velvet dries out and the bucks will polish their antlers on trees to remove it. A buck can remove enough bark from a tree while polishing his antlers to actually kill the tree. Here you see a buck in polished antler. During the rut, a buck's testosterone level is high and their neck swells. They will fight with any other buck in order to be the one to breed all the available does in their area. Once the breeding season is over, antlers are shed. Shed antlers blend into the forest surroundings and are hard to find. Often they will be chewed up by chipmunks, mice, and other rodents because they are high in calcium. This is Joe's log cabin. When Joe was young, his mother passed away and his father remarried. He never considered his stepmother a real replacement and decided at age 14 he needed to think about being on his own. Joe had worked from a very young age and had saved enough money that he bought an old sway-backed horse from a local farmer for $30. With permission from a distant cousin who had a nearby farm, he built this log cabin. He used the horse to drag the logs he had hand-cut with an axe. They were made of American chestnut, and it took 2 years for him to complete it and moved in at age 16. He gave the horse back to the farmer to avoid the expense of feeding and caring for it. Joe lived in the cabin for about 10 years. He then gave the cabin to the farmer whose land it was on. Last time we were there, the cabin he began in 1922 was still standing, although the chestnut was finally beginning to rot. Imagine a boy today leaving home at 14, building his own log cabin, and becoming self-sufficient by age 16. Joe worked as a sample boy for the Edison cement plant, and then he worked in the hosiery in Washington, all the while doing what he loved the most, hunting, trapping, and fishing. Joe always carried a camera when he worked for Fish and Game in case he saw something interesting or particularly beautiful while traveling through the forests and waterways of New Jersey. The bald eagle, the only eagle unique in North America. At one time, the word bald meant white. Juveniles are completely brown except for their yellow feet. The adult body can measure 28 to 38 inches with a wingspan of 68 to 88 inches and can weigh 6.5 to 14 pounds. Their irises are bright yellow and their feet are taloned for swooping and catching fish. They have the largest nest of any North American bird, which can measure up to 13 feet deep, 8 feet in diameter, and as much as 1 ton in weight. In 1967, they were on the brink of extinction in the continental U.S. and were put on the endangered species list in 43 of the lower 48 states. In 1995, their status was upgraded to threatened in the lower 48 states, and in 2007 they were taken off the endangered species list. They are still protected by the Bald Eagle Protection Act, which prohibits one to take, transport, sell, barter with, trade, import, export, or possess an eagle. This makes it illegal to collect eagles, eagle parts, nests, or eggs without a permit, including feathers. However, Native Americans can possess these emblems, which are traditional in their culture. Golden eagles tend to be slightly larger than bald eagles and occupy similar habitats. However, the golden eagle is found throughout the northern hemisphere. Their plumage colors range from black-brown to dark brown with a striking golden buff crown and nape, which give the bird its name. It has a wingspan averaging over 7 feet and can grow up to 3 feet in body length. They are also protected under the Eagle Protection Act. This is the great horned owl. The average adult is 22 inches long, weighs 3.1 pounds, and has a wingspan of 49 inches and prominent ear tufts. They hunt at night and feed on small animals such as mice, rats, crows, amphibians, etc. It is the only animal that regularly eats skunks. They have binocular vision needed to pinpoint prey and see in low light. Notice the iris in the eye in shadow is much larger than the one in sunlight. Their eyes can't move like ours and are locked in a special circular bone, so their neck must be able to turn a full 270 degrees in order to see in other directions without moving its entire body. An owl's hearing is as good if not better than their vision. It has stereo hearing, one ear set slightly above the other, and by tilting their head, can pinpoint the exact horizontal and vertical location of their prey. They have 500 pounds per square inch crushing power in their talons. A man has 60 pounds per square inch in his hands. They sometimes take over nests of crows, red-tailed hawks, and large squirrel nests, but also use cavities in trees, snags, deserted buildings, and artificial platforms. Eggs, nestlings, and fledglings may be preyed on by fox, coyotes, and feral cats, but adults have almost no predators, but may be killed in confrontations with eagles, snowy owls, and most likely other great horned owls, which may end in the eating of the dead owl. The eastern screech owl has two color morphs, gray and reddish brown. It will stretch its body and tighten its feathers when threatened to look like a tree branch. This gray phase is well camouflaged against a tree. They usually roost in large natural cavities in trees or on a branch near the trunk of a dense tree or bush. In urban areas, they may roost behind loose boards or on water tanks. They avoid the dense forest because of the great horned owl. An average height is 8 to 9 inches, the wingspan 20 to 22 inches, and the weight 7 to 7.5 ounces. They hunt from dusk to dawn, mainly from perches, and usually swallow their prey whole where it's caught, or carry it back to a perch and tear it into shreds. It eats small rodents, bats, rabbits, songbirds, insects, and small amphibians. It will expel 2 to 3 pellets per day. They are dark, small, gray, compact ovals, which consist of fur, feathers, bone, teeth, and chitin. The American kestrel or sparrowhawk is also a cavity nester. They feed on dragonflies, mice, grasshoppers, and small rodents. They average 9 to 12 inches, 20 to 24 inch wingspans, and 2.5 to 5.5 ounces. Both the male and the female take turns incubating their eggs, which is very uncommon for North American birds of prey. Usually it is exclusively the female. They are often used in falconry as well as the red-tailed hawk. Nesting kestrels back up, raise their tails, and squirt their feces on the walls of the nest cavity. The feces dry on the cavity walls and stay off the nestlings. The nest gets to be a smelly place with feces on the wall and uneaten parts of small animals on the floor. Here you see a turkey nest with eggs. Turkeys have great hearing but no external ears. They can also see in color and have excellent visual acuity and a wide field of vision, about 270 degrees. This is a turkey chick. Turkeys have a poor sense of smell but an excellent sense of taste. Domesticated turkeys cannot fly. Wild turkeys, however, can fly for short distances at speeds of up to 55 miles per hour. They can also reach speeds of 25 miles per hour on the ground. Tom turkeys spend their days foraging for food like acorns, seeds, small insects, and wild berries. They spend their nights in low branches of trees. Tom's beards are feathers or hair. 10 to 20% of hens also have beards. Note in this flock of turkey that one hen has her head up. Sister hens will flock together with their clutches and always have one on guard while the others feed. Contrary to popular belief, less than 1% of bats carry rabies, and attacks by bats are extremely rare. Bats are the only truly flying mammals and are not rodents. All of the bats found in New Jersey are strictly insect eaters. A bat can consume hundreds of insects in an hour. Bats are not blind, but they depend more on their sonar than eyesight to navigate, avoid obstacles, and capture insects. Some of our common bats congregate in colonies, often in buildings. These social bats usually return to the same roost year after year and start maternity colonies in the spring. The young are born in June and July. Only 1 or 2 are born per year. Bats are true hibernators and usually enter caves, mines, buildings, and even sewers in the fall to hibernate over winter. Individual bats can live to be 30 years old. Colonies can be present at the same location for over 100 years. Flying squirrels are strictly nocturnal. They have a furry membrane that stretches between the front and hind legs, which allows them to glide through the air. They can glide up to 25 yards. They eat truffles, lichen, insects, tree sap, eggs, and baby birds, as well as seeds and nuts. They live in holes in trees and sometimes build leaf nests called drays. Predators are owls, martins, fox, and hawks. American red squirrels are also referred to as pine squirrels, North American red squirrels, and chickarees. They are much bigger than chipmunks and feed on white spruce seeds, pine needles, willow leaves, mushrooms, and such. American red squirrels are preyed upon by Canadian lynx, coyote, great horned owl, northern goshawk, red-tailed hawk, American marten, fox, wolf, and weasel. Though we see them occasionally, the gray squirrel is more common. Gray squirrels build a type of nest known as a dray in the forks of trees. The dray consists mainly of dry leaves and twigs. Predators include humans, hawks, skunks, raccoons, domestic and feral cats, snakes, and owls. On occasion, a squirrel may lose part of its tail while escaping a predator. The eastern gray squirrel consumes a variety of foods, including bird eggs, insects, nestling birds, various seeds and acorns, walnuts and other nuts, mushrooms, and berries. A chipmunk's diet is similarly made of nuts, acorns, seeds, mushrooms, fruits, berries, and corn. It also eats insects, bird eggs, snails, and small mammals like young mice. In winter, it stays in its den. The eastern chipmunk doesn't truly hibernate, but it does spend a lot of time sleeping. It may wake up every few weeks to eat the food it has stored. The eastern chipmunk lives in open deciduous forests and at the edges of woodlands. It can also be found in bushy areas and in rocky areas like walls near houses and other buildings. The mute swan is one of the heaviest flying birds, with males averaging about 24 to 26 pounds and females, known as pens, about 18 to 20 pounds. Named mute swans because they are less vocal than other swans, they are monogamous and often reuse the nest each year. Mute swans nest on large mounds that they build with waterside vegetation, in shallow water, on islands in the middle, or at the very edge of a lake. They feed on a wide range of vegetation, both submerged aquatic plants, which they reach with their long necks, and by grazing on land. The mute swan was introduced to North America in the late 19th century. Recently, it has been widely viewed as an invasive species because of its rapidly increasing numbers and adverse effect on other waterfowl and native ecosystems. Mute swans can be very aggressive in defense of their nests. The wings of the swan are very powerful and can exert enough force to break an adult man's leg. This is a mallard duck hen on a nest. Mallards prefer calm, shallow sanctuaries, but can be found in almost any body of fresh water across Asia, Europe, and North America. They're also found in saltwater and brackish water and are commonly found in wetlands. In fact, the mallard is thought to be the most abundant and wide-ranging duck on Earth. The male or drake is the more distinctively colored of the mallards. Its green head sits atop a white neck band that sets off a chestnut-colored chest and gray body. Females like this one are mottled brown in color, but have iridescent purple-blue wing feathers that are visible as a patch on their sides. Here we have woodcock chicks in a nest. Woodcocks are woodland birds which feed at night or in the evenings, searching for insects and worms in the soft ground with their long bills. Unlike in most birds, the tip of the upper beak is flexible. Their unobtrusive plumage makes it difficult to see them when they are resting in the day. Unlike many birds that leave their nests at hatching, newly hatched woodcocks cannot feed themselves. They are dependent on the mother for the food for the first week. The chicks start to probe in dirt at 3 or 4 days after hatching. Nests are just shallow depressions in the ground. The adult woodcock have excellent camouflage. You can hear a twittering sound from their wings when in flight. The cotton-tailed rabbit. These rabbits seek out habitats on the fringes of open spaces, such as fields, meadows, and farms, but can adapt to other habitats, including those of humans. They browse at night on grasses and herbs and are fond of garden fare such as peas and, of course, lettuce. In winter, their diet becomes a bit coarser and consists of barks, twigs, and buds. This baby rabbit is at the edge of his nest. During the day, cottontails often remain hidden in vegetation. If spotted, they flee from prey with a zigzag pattern, sometimes reaching speeds of up to 18 miles per hour. The female rabbit builds a nest in a depression in the ground and lines it with soft materials and fur from her chest. The speedy snowshoe hare is an expert in fleeing from a wolf, bobcat, lynx, or other predator. The young, when alerted of danger, will freeze so that they do not bring attention to themselves. Adults will run. As the predator pursues the hare, it will quickly change direction to throw the hungry animal off balance. Hares are also good swimmers and will jump in the water to make an escape if the opportunity is given. With the toes spread apart and the soles of their feet furry, the snowshoe hare is adapted for traveling in the snow. The hare is noted for their changing color. In the winter, the snowshoe is almost all white, and in the spring, the fur color changes to a grayish-brown to better blend in with their surroundings. The deer mouse's coloration is described as bicolored, meaning it has a distinctly darker upper body coloration compared to the white undersides. The body color varies from a yellowish or reddish brown to grayish above, with pure white undersides and feet. The bicolored body and distinctive large ears distinguish the deer mouse from the introduced house mouse, which is uniformly gray. They feed on various foods, including seeds and nuts, small fruits and berries, insects, centipedes, and fungus. The deer mouse catches food for winter use, storing seeds and small nuts in hollow logs or other protected areas. Practically all predators of suitable size prey on this species, and since it is so common, it serves as a diet mainstay of many animals. Mink are sleek with thick chocolate brown fur. Mink are related to the badger and skunk through the same weasel family as a pet ferret. Mink are semi-aquatic predators able to hunt prey on land and in the water. They can dive underwater like an otter to capture fish, crayfish, and frogs. They can also capture terrestrial prey like birds, snakes, mice, voles, and rabbits. They can be found in wooded areas and fields near streams and lakes. They do not dig their own burrows, but instead take over dens abandoned by other animals. A startled mink may squeal, hiss, or snarl, and then release a scent similar to a skunk. They can't spray like skunks can, but they do smell. The opossum is North America's only marsupial mammal, which means the female has a pouch. It is solitary, nocturnal, and can adapt to any environment that has food, water, and shelter. They eat insects, rodents, berries, overripe fruit, eggs, corn, or other vegetables. It uses its prehensile tail to help stabilize position when climbing, but does not hang from its tail. Typical lifespan is 2 to 4 years. Predators are humans, cars, dogs, cats, owls, and other larger wildlife. They move slowly, and when frightened, and if unable to flee, may fall into an involuntary shock-like state, hence the expression playing possum. White-footed mice live in a wide variety of habitats, but are most abundant in warm, dry forests and brushlands at middle elevations. They possess keen eyesight, hearing, and sense of smell, and are the most abundant small rodent in mixed forests in the eastern United States. The upper parts of the body are pale to rich reddish brown, and the belly and feet are white. They are abundant in many habitats and are the major diet item of many small predators. Pine martens can be found in mature coniferous forests or mixed forests in northern climates. They are related to mink, otters, weasels, skunks, wolverines, and badgers. They find food and shelter in dead trees and eat mice, voles, birds, flying squirrels, and rabbits. They will also eat honey, insects, eggs, and conifer seeds. They're strong, fast, and agile, and can leap from tree to tree after a squirrel. They prefer to live alone. They nearly became extinct during the 1700s and 1800s due to heavy fur trapping because their fur was warm, soft, and luxurious. Raccoons have dark patches around the eyes which resemble a bandit's mask, thus enhancing their reputation as mischievous. Their bushy tails have light and dark alternating rings. They live in hollow trees, ground burrows, or caves. The original territory was forests, but due to their adaptability, they can survive in urban areas. Often considered pests, they can grow 6 to 36 pounds, measure 24 to 36 inches minus the 10-inch tail. The largest raccoon on record weighed over 50 pounds. They are omnivorous, consuming a varied diet which consists of berries, chicken, rodents, insects, etc. Often found foraging in trash, ordinarily they will not go after dogs or cats, but will attack if cornered. They were a source of food at one time and provided a large amount of protein. However, the appeal has lessened with most of society, in part because of them viewed as garbage eaters and incubators of rabies. Being nocturnal, seeing a raccoon during the day may be indicative of illness. However, a nursing mother will sometimes feed during the daytime. River otters have long, streamlined bodies and short, powerful legs with webbed feet. Although the record size for a northern river otter is 33 pounds and 54 inches in length, the average size is 18 pounds and 40 inches long. Otters live near water in lakes, rivers, and marshes. They do not make dens, but use natural shelters or old dens of other animals such as beaver and muskrat. River otters have long, stiff, highly sensitive facial whiskers, which detect prey movements in murky water. River otter prey primarily on fish. At times, crayfish and crabs also comprise a major portion of their diet. Infrequent food items include water bugs, young waterfowl, snakes, frogs, mussels, and even muskrats. Skunks are mammals best known for their ability to excrete a strong, foul-smelling odor. Skunks are reluctant to use their smelly weapon as they carry just enough of the chemical for 5 or 6 uses, about 15 cc's, and require some 10 days to produce another supply. The odor of the fluid is strong enough to ward off bears and other potential attackers and can be difficult to remove from clothing. Muscles located next to the scent glands allow them to spray with high accuracy as far as 7 to 15 feet. Although the most common fur color is black and white, some skunks are brown or gray, and a few are cream-colored. Skunks are omnivorous, eating both plant and animal material and changing their diet as the seasons change. They eat insects and larvae, earthworms, small rodents, lizards, salamanders, snakes, birds, moles, and eggs. They also commonly eat berries, roots, leaves, grasses, fungi, and nuts. In settled areas, skunks also seek human garbage. Skunks are one of the primary predators of the honeybee, relying on their thick fur to protect them from stings. The skunk scratches at the front of the beehive and eats the guard bees that come out to investigate. Mother skunks are known to teach this to their young. A skunk family can virtually depopulate a healthy hive in just a few days. Although they have excellent senses of smell and hearing, they have poor vision. They cannot see objects more than about 3 meters away with any clarity, which makes them very vulnerable to road traffic. Porcupines have soft hair, but on their back, sides, and tail it's usually mixed with sharp quills that typically lie flat until he's threatened, then leap to attention as a persuasive deterrent. Porcupines cannot shoot them at predators as once thought, but the quills do detach easily when touched. Quills have sharp tips and overlapping scales or barbs that make them difficult to remove once they are stuck in another animal's skin. Porcupines grow new quills to replace the ones they lose. The North American porcupine is the only species that lives in the U.S. and Canada and is the largest of all porcupines. A single animal may have 30,000 or more quills. North American porcupines use their large front teeth to satisfy a healthy appetite for wood. They eat natural bark and stems and have been known to invade campgrounds and chew on canoe paddles, pit toilets, plywood, etc. North American porcupines also eat fruit, leaves, and springtime buds. The average lifespan in the wild is 5 to 7 years, and they can weigh 12 to 35 pounds. This baby porcupine shows its prowess at climbing trees. Known as the mountain lion, cougar, puma, or catamount, the male can be more than 8 feet long and weigh 130 to 150 pounds. The female can be greater than 7 feet long and weigh 65 to 90 pounds. Mountain lions are very secretive animals that tend to avoid human contact. Encounters are rare and usually not threatened. This is a mountain lion eating his kill. The diet is predominantly white-tailed deer, mule deer, elk, moose, peccary, and bighorn sheep. They will also prey on rabbits, coyotes, and sheep. Lifespan is approximately 12 years. A mountain lion will hide his kill under leaves for later. In the last 100 years, only 14 fatal cougar attacks occurred on the entire North American continent. In that time, more than 15,000 people were killed by lightning, 4,000 by bees, 10,000 by deer. Experts estimate that 75 to 95% of all lion sightings are not mountain lions, but instead are deer, bobcats, dogs, coyotes, and even domestic cats. When you only catch a glimpse of an animal, it is easy to mistake it for something else. This is a coyote in early fall. Coyotes are found in all parts of the U.S. except for Hawaii. Joe Taylor trapped the first coyote in New Jersey. It was originally called a brush wolf, but testing and measurements concluded that it was indeed a coyote. Prior to that, it was not known that coyotes were in this state. Coyotes can be found in a variety of habitats, including fields, plains, and bushy areas. A carnivorous animal, most of its diet is made up of mammals, but it also will eat birds and snakes. It prefers to eat fresh kill, but it will eat carrion. In the fall and winter, the coyote often eats fruits, vegetables, and berries. It has a number of vocalizations, including barks, growls, yips, whines, and howls. It uses a long howl to let other members of the pack know where it is. Short barks warn off danger. When a pack of coyotes is welcoming a member into the pack, it yips. Other vocalizations, including growls when establishing dominance, whining and whimpering when males and females are establishing bonds, and high-pitched barks to summon puppies. One way to tell the coyote apart from wolves and dogs is to watch its tail when it runs. The coyote runs with its tail down. Dogs run with their tails up, and wolves run with their tails straight out. With a gray to brown coat, whiskered face, and black tufted ears, the bobcat resembles the other species of the mid-sized lynx genus. It has distinctive black bars on its forelegs and black-tipped stubby tail from which it derives its name. The cat has sharp hearing and vision and a good sense of smell. It is an excellent climber and will swim when it needs to, but will normally avoid water. Although the bobcat prefers rabbits and hares, it will hunt anything from insects and small rodents to deer. Its food preference is for mammals about 1.5 to 12.5 pounds. Its main prey varies by region. Each bobcat may have one main den and several auxiliary dens in its territory. The main den usually is a cave or rock shelter, but can be a hollow log, fallen tree, or some other protected place. Other dens are often brush piles, stumps, and rock ledges. The height is usually 17 to 23 inches, the length 25 to 41 inches, and the weight 16 to 28 pounds for males. Females are 10 to 18 pounds, and their lifespans are 12 to 13 years. Red foxes are omnivores. They are solitary hunters who feed on rodents, rabbits, birds, and other small game. Their diet can be as flexible as their home habitat. They will eat fruits and vegetables, fish, frogs, and even worms. They'll store caches of uneaten food in various shallow holes to be eaten at another time. If living among humans, foxes will opportunistically dine in garbage and pet food. The red fox's resourcefulness has earned it a legendary reputation for intelligence and cunning. Some foxes are golden, reddish-brown, silver, or even black, usually with a distinctive white tip in their bushy tail. The fox's thick tail aids its balance, but it also uses its tail or brush as a warm cover in cold weather and as a signal flag to communicate with other foxes. The foxes also signal each other by making scent posts, urinating on trees or rocks to announce their presence. The red fox prefers sparsely settled hill areas with wooded tracts, marshes, and streams. The gray fox is a peppery gray on top, reddish-brown on its sides, chest, and the back of its head. Its legs and feet are also a reddish color. It has a long bushy tail with a black stripe on top. The gray fox has pointed ears, a pointed muzzle, and long hooked claws. He prefers areas with lots of brush or woods. A large part of its diet is made up of small mammals like mice, voles, and eastern cottontail rabbits. It also eats birds, insects, and plants like corn, apples, nuts, berries, and grass. In the summer and autumn, grasshoppers and crickets are an important part of his diet. The gray fox can climb and will occasionally forage for food or rest in a tree. It makes its den in rocky crevices, caves, hollow logs, and trees. The gray wolf, Canis lupus, also known as the timber wolf. The gray wolf is the largest wild member of the canine family. Wolves have bulky coats consisting of 2 layers. The first layer is made up of tough guard hairs that repel water and dirt. The second is a dense, water-resistant undercoat that insulates. They keep a strict social order with the alpha male and female dominant over the pack. Don't miss your opportunity while here to go on a wolf watch. You'll learn much, much more about the gray wolf. The common black bear cub. Black bear have been now seen in every county of New Jersey. Adults can range from 90 pounds to 800 pounds. They are omnivores, eating both plants and animals. Usually walking on all 4 legs, they can walk on 2. They usually stand to get a better scent or view of something. Never bring anything that smells like food in your tent. They are not after people, but will often enter campsites and backyards in search of food. Each paw has 5 long, strong claws used for tearing, digging, and climbing, and their front paws are surprisingly dexterous. Sows have cubs every other year and give birth while they are denned in the winter. Beavers are rodents like rabbits, squirrels, and mice. They eat the tender inner bark of tree branches. In the wild, they can live up to 24 years and weigh up to 60 pounds. They live in colonies, building large dams out of sticks and mud. This tree has been chewed by beaver. It is unusual for beaver to chew on a tree this large, and especially unusual for them to eat white oak. This is a sign that they are running out of natural food in the area and need to be relocated before they start to starve. One of Joe Taylor's jobs as animal control officer was to relocate beaver that were causing property damage. This beaver is in what they call a suitcase trap. Also a beaver, note the rear webbed foot. Beavers have webbed toes to help them swim quickly in water. Their broad, flat tails also serve as a rudder. They can also slap them on the water to make a loud sound to alert other beaver of danger. This is a farmer's road flooded by a beaver's dam. Beavers are second only to humans in their ability to manipulate and change their environment. They build dams and canals so that they can store food and transport it more easily. Here you see Joe's fellow state trapper and animal control officer setting a beaver trap to relocate them. In this photo you see Joe Taylor with his catch of beaver for the day. Here are a couple of juvenile black rat snakes sunning themselves. These are harmless, beneficial snakes that eat rodents like mice, rats, chipmunks, squirrels, and rabbits. They live in woodlands, rocky hillsides, and meadows. The black rat snake is a climber, often found in trees or rock crevices. Here we have a yellow phase rattlesnake. This is the only rattlesnake in New Jersey and in most of the northern United States. It is a large, heavy-bodied snake with a strongly triangular head and a characteristic rattle at the end of the tail. In northern New Jersey, the timber rattlesnake is found only in rocky, wooded ledges where it dens in south-facing slopes. They can grow to be 3 to 6 feet in length and shake their tails when threatened. Interlocking scales make up the rattle. Here you see the hognose snake. It looks like a rattlesnake and can grow up to 4 feet in length. This heavy-bodied snake gets its name from its upturned snout. The tendency of the eastern hognose snake to play dead when threatened is key to its identification. The snake will hiss, spread its head and neck to look more like a rattlesnake, and as a last resort will stick out its tongue and roll over on its back and play dead. When you try to turn it back over, it will keep turning its belly up. This is Joe Taylor catching a rattlesnake. He used a forked stick to catch it for relocation, one of the many jobs as an animal control officer. Here Joe Taylor holds the rattlesnake, showing his fangs. The fangs of a rattlesnake are hinged and drop down from the top of its jaw when it opens its mouth. The venom flows through the hollow teeth into its prey. Here is a shot of a yellow-faced rattler's head. Poisonous snakes in New Jersey also have vertical pupils in their eyes. However, you should never get close enough to see the eyes of a snake you haven't identified. This is a black-phase rattlesnake showing its rattles. Each time a rattlesnake sheds its skin, it gains a new button on its rattle. However, this is not an accurate way to tell the age of a snake because the rattle buttons wear or break off, and the snake sheds whenever it has had a large meal. The copperhead can grow 2 to 4 feet long. The copperhead snake, with its red-brown ground color and darker cross bands, is easily camouflaged in the leaf litter of a forest floor. It favors rocky, wooded uplands and wooded wetlands, and may be found hiding in rotting wood piles or perfectly camouflaged on a leafy forest floor. He will den with other species of snakes in the winter, particularly the timber rattlesnake. They also have triangular heads and can be many different colors, all the colors of a copper penny, from bright shiny new ones to old dark dull ones. This is the eastern smooth earth snake. It grows 7 inches to 13¼ inches. The eastern smooth earth snake is a small plain snake, but it can be mistaken for a copperhead. It has no neck, however, and it is not poisonous. Ground color is gray or light brownish gray. It may have small black dots or a faint light stripe on the back. The underside is white to pale yellow. This is a water snake when it's dry. 22 to 53 inches, the northern water snake can exhibit a mean disposition and can inflict a painful, non-venomous bite if handled, as well as a pungent musk. They also have a more pronounced head than most other non-poisonous snakes and are sometimes mistaken for copperheads when wet. This is a shot of a wet water snake. The water snake prefers quiet waters, but it can be found in just about any river, stream, pond, lake, swamp, marsh, or bog. It can be seen swimming and foraging as well as basking on land. They eat frogs and fish primarily. The eastern garter snake typically has 3 stripes, one on the back and one on each side. One of New Jersey's more common snakes, they can be found in a wide range of habitats. Garter snakes frequently live near water, but also can be found in woods, fields, and suburban neighborhoods. They eat worms, insects, and small rodents. The grass snake, or smooth green snake, is a small snake that is bright green above with a plain white belly and is sometimes tinted pale yellow. It has smooth scales and are found primarily in grass and other similar habitats where they blend in quite easily. Grass snakes are often killed by lawnmowers because they feel the vibration of the motor and stick up their heads above the grass to look around. They have a diet similar to garter snakes. The northern black racer is a long black snake with a slender round body. The underside is black, or more rarely slightly lighter than the back. The northern black racer is fast, hence the name, alert and agile. If threatened, it may vibrate its tail in dry leaves to mimic the sound of a rattlesnake. If cornered, it will vigorously defend itself. Common in fields, open woodlands, and may occasionally be found in suburban areas. It can grow to over 6 feet in length, and they primarily eat rodents such as chipmunks and mice. Like the northern black racer, the black rat snake is a plain, shiny black snake, but its belly is clouded with gray or brown on white, or a shade of yellow instead of the black of a black racer. There is also a distinct black and white checkered pattern on the throat of the black rat snake. Black rat snakes are found in habitats very similar to that of the northern black racer. They can be found in wooded hillsides and in flat farmlands. The black rat snake is known to climb, and some even dwell in the holes of hollow trees. They can grow to over 6 feet in length. The ring-necked snake is a small and slender snake growing to only 10 to 15 inches long. Its main color is olive, brown, gray, or black. Just behind the neck and around the neck is a light-colored ring, hence the name, which ordinarily is yellow, cream, orange, or red. Found in woodland areas, typically hiding beneath logs, bark slabs, stones, or even trash, these snakes are secretive and usually remain hidden. They seek cover under rocks, boards, logs, and the loose bark of fallen trees. When threatened, individuals often release foul-smelling musk and intestinal contents. They eat worms, salamanders, crickets, and other insects. Joe Taylor began his day at sunrise and would look forward to the view upon returning home at sunset.